what's interesting about the Bills conversation is I think we kind of thought coming into this year, at least I did, was like they weren't going to be as good as they ended up being. So I feel like maybe they closed another window, but they've opened a new one over here, like on the other side of the house.
Yeah.
I like you wrote our rundown or whatever. Will the Bills ever win the Super Bowl? Which is, again, if the world's going to end in May, then no, they will not. Yeah. But do you think they will? Will they win it with Josh Allen?
I mean, I feel like we had this conversation about, and we've had it multiple times probably, about the Ravens, where like you have the quarterback, you have everything. Like it's just the one hurdle they can't get past. So I mean, it's hard to win a Super Bowl, man. But like you have, to your point, like it feels like a decent runway here over the next few years, and like, so I mean, I ultimately think they do, but I don't know.
The unfair answer is probably not. Like, if I'm betting against something, like it's very, to your point, it's very hard. So
do they
like,
get it done with this coach? So like, it's because I feel like the one thing what is he like actively doing to hold them back though? Like, I don't know what he's. I'm open to the discussion. I just don't know what it is. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, if that play gets called for a first down, the QB sneak, which it could have been. I hated some of the stuff they did in that game on Sunday. No, it's completely fair. Like I'm willing to talk about Sean McDermott and whether he's the guy to do that. And I do think like when you have a quarterback who's that good in the middle of his prime, you kind of have to probably move faster than you have to get uncomfortable in some ways. But it's hard for me to be like, they went to Kansas City and lost the AFC Championship by 3 points. Yeah. They're going the right direction. They've gotten better. It is, but it's how many with less bites do you take at that apple before you shuffle the deck? Which, you know what? It feels like they kind of did that this year with the roster reconstruction, right? Like they were like, well, we got some older players, particularly on the defensive side, and we've got to change. A lot of it was out of necessity, either age or contract situations. But there was like a reshuffling, and that's why at the beginning of the season we were like, well, I don't know what they're going to look like. I don't know if they're going to be better. I don't know if they're going to be worse, but they're going to be different. And maybe the coaching gets to a point where it's the same way. Like I don't think you move on from them right now, but like that seat's got to be getting warmer with each passing missed opportunity. And I guess ultimately it comes down to, well, you better feel good about the next guy who comes in. Like if there's a slam dunk candidate out there, I don't think you should hesitate to make a move. Absent of that, I don't know if you make a move just to make a move. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like the Mike McCarthy conversation we had last week where, okay, if you got rid of McDermott and then you looked at the field of candidates and there wasn't an overwhelmingly positive choice, it's like, well, what the hell were we just doing? Well, that's a tough way to live life too, though. Like, I guess if you move on, you better have some conviction about the next guy. Sure. I just think if you're like, and it's not going to wait for a better option to come, that's more or less a lame duck, and I don't think that helps anybody. You can play it close to the vest. You don't need to come out and say, we'll keep him around until something better comes available. But I think that kind of plays itself out in actions and decisions that are made around that. I thought they had cap room, but it's just, do I go to like ChatGPT? How hard is it to get? Why is it so hard to get cap room? We can get a doomsday clock, but we can't get salary cap space. Well, it's just like these contract sites are always so tough. I'm like, am I looking at this year or for next year or the off season? So, according to this one thing, they have 557,000. We can ask the Ouija board next week. And that's okay. Yeah, that's a good point. Totally fine. Apparently, they're going to go to minus 2.5 million, and that's somehow going to be an increase. So, they're in a tough spot. I think with the McDermott thing, I might be tempted to move fast. Like I said, because I just don't know how long Josh Allen, especially a guy who plays the way that he does, is going to be playing at this level. And I think he quite clearly took his game to a new level this season, which is saying something, given he's been one of the best 5 quarterbacks in the league for a long time. And I don't know, it's like, are the Ravens a cautionary tale in that regard? Like, by that same token, do you want to get rid of John Harbaugh? No. So what's the difference? I'm not even trying to be antagonistic. I'm just legitimately curious. I mean, John Harbaugh is won a Super Bowl.
but not with Lamar. So is it a Lamar thing? Or like I feel like they're in the same spot of this.
No, but Harbaugh's.
I mean, Vince Lombardi won some Super Bowls. I don't think he'd be a good option for the Bills right now.
Yeah, but I feel like with McDermott, it's like, is he ever going to get this team over the hump?
That's fair.
Like,
Yeah. So you want to do the Bill Belichick thing? You think he's a fit in Buffalo? The Buffalo Bill?
I mean, I'd love to see it.
I mean, it'd be the best thing. I think we probably need to let that go. And maybe that's me trying to jinx it.
But for a team that
it makes all
had
the
the
sense in the
defensive
world.
flaws that the Bills had this year, you add him to that mix. You keep that offense firing at the level that.
Yeah.
The other part of it too is like, and this was the most encouraging part of Josh Allen's game this year, was cleaning up the mistakes and really playing with, like, the big plays were still there, but it didn't come at the expense of all the turnovers. And, like that progress coupled with Belichick's attention to detail, even though we can make the case that wasn't necessarily great towards the end of the Patriots tenure, and an improved defense, like, I don't know, gets the juices flowing. But again,
I just think
you're trying to get from like here to here.
Yeah,
it's such an incremental
I also think
incremental piece that
there
you're
are
just trying to
probably
find.
better, more realistic versions of that at this point.
Yeah,
which is mean to say about Bill Belichick, but like, I saw one name I keep hearing thrown around is Springfield College's own Steve Spagnuolo. Like, getting him out of Kansas City is like a double-edged sword.
Yeah,
or the opposite of a double-edged sword, because that would be bad for you, I guess. Somebody like that, I don't know.
It's just soft on both sides.
It's a double-edged butter.
This is a very couple of
double-edged butter knife. Double-edged spoon.
Spork.
I don't love McDermott, so I don't want to sit here and sound like I'm defending the guy, but it's a risk, right? It's upsetting the apple cart to.
I think I'm just probably it's recency bias, because I feel like had questions all season and was like, their demise is going to be tied to Sean McDermott and him getting coach circles around by Andy Reid when it comes to the AFC Championship.
Yeah.
And I feel like we saw that to a large degree. I just thought, I don't know, there's just certain things. I didn't like them playing, chasing points the way they did with the 2-point conversions, taking the points off the board.
The 2-point conversions was weird.
I didn't like the way they managed some of that. You know what drives me insane is when teams it's like 3rd or 4th and 1 and they're in the shotgun, and they there's just a couple of play calls that I didn't necessarily like, going away from James Cook. Like, I don't know, there were things that.
So is that
it could be an offensive coordinator thing too. Like that's why it's difficult for us to sit here and fully analyze it, because I don't know the
I don't get the
pecking
Joe
order.
Brady thing. I don't think he's that good. I know he's getting head coach buzz, but
Yeah.
So.